And to some extent I was demoralized in creating partnerships because there was lack of interest in partnership. So still the media industry in Kenya, well, they are saying they're now struggling. I don't know if all of them are struggling, but there is the future in partnership. With partnership, media houses can make big money. And it was just in when I was a standard, we made good money through partnerships. Good money, more than events. It was a very small unit, and we were only two, but we could make more money than some 2-3 TV channels combined through partnerships. We could sign 3-4 months, sometimes some of them were even 2-3 years, and they were really good money. And so, if and when the media will embrace partnerships to bridge the gap between commercial interest and digital interest, then there will be a cohesive flow of information. So with that, maybe let me ask this question again. The guys of politics, and this one here is probably also editors or anybody else in the room. So how has politics affected your work? And by politics, it means could be organizational politics, or it could be inter-organizational politics. Intra and inter. So between organizations, or between institutions, could be between your institution and the government, or between institution and some other institution, or within your institution. So do you have anybody's experience? We are sharing experiences, right? Anybody with experience? How politics has killed off the media story? Oh, you don't face those issues? Okay. Sound. Politics. How politics has affected your work as a journalist? Yeah, sure. Oh, okay. So, Ellen, please go.
It's not really killing the story, but how politics can affect how we tell science stories. I remember when the Kenya Met announced that there was going to be an El Nino, and then the president said that the height of war. So I took advantage of that comment from the president and went now to what my responsibility is to report science as it is. So I called a scientist from both Kenya Met and IGAD. Kenya Met didn't want to speak about it because it was the president that had said that there was no El Nino, but when I went ahead to speak to a scientist from IGAD, they explained to me and I did a story which countered what the president had said. So that's one example that I can see is related to politics.
What was the feedback? I already asked, what was the feedback? Did the government come
no, the government didn't come for my neck, but later Kenya Met gave out the right position, but it took 3 days before they did that, because we were even trying to get interviews from the DG Kenya Met, but it was difficult at that time, just after the president had talked about it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes, just come. And while he's coming, recently when I joined GIZ, I was also asked not to give money to some specific media houses because of the way they frame their stories. Until that's why I said.
Yeah, good morning everyone. Steve Otieno, Information. There's a story we're working on early last year on fertilizers. So there's a fellow who works at one of these leading banks, and while he was going through the auditing of the finance and checking the banks, he realized there was a very big issue to the tune of 10 billion. And so because he was classmates with one of my colleagues, the documents somehow got to my hands. And we were able to see that within a few weeks of coming into power, a certain CS had illegally wired 10 billion to some other things other than fertilizers. And so during this story, we finished everything, and so we had to call the right of return. So it was getting very threatening, telling me, you think Nation will never publish your story? Then he did not know about that. Around that oil scandal again. And so it was the same CS involved in both the two. So when I was talking to him, he starts telling me, you write what you want, you can quote me in any way you want. So I was just telling him, Asante Waziri. Thank you, Waziri. Ujanijibu Waziri. And so I think those answers were really riling him up. So I finished it, I submitted the story. Then the next morning, when the story should have run, I was called by a very senior editor to go to the office to explain where I'm getting my details, who is feeding me with this information. They want me to give up my source. And I told them, I think we have a policy that says if it's true, you run it. So the story read, but minus everything wrong the minister did. And 1 week later, my colleague who was given the documents informs me that they managed to somehow trace in the auditing department, and they tried to link everyone to who they know in the media, and so they eventually got to the source, the NIS. And he was roughed up a bit. Right now we are trying to link him with these human rights organizations that protect journalists, and we noticed there's a gap there because they protect us, not the sources. So he left the job, but again, 2 weeks ago, Badali Shikwa, and he was taken around. They are just frustrating him. So these things are real, they happen. I don't know why they did not come for me or any of my colleagues, but they went for him. And so many people in that department lost their jobs, and it was very bad. So at times politics does affect. There's also another one I'm doing on the encroachment around Lake Naivasha. Some of the biggest resorts we enjoy there are actually built on land. And to date, I'm still told my story has gaps. And I keep asking what gaps. I'm not sure of any specific gap. So these things do happen. And yeah, we'll Tapapanga too. I'll just tell them Asante Waziri. And we'll continue. Thank you.
Interesting. Jemisi is not in the room, right? He will keep that story here. The one for the I can like that though. So, like I was telling you, when I was doing these programs, I was told, you know how work as GSN, we support government. We work with government. We don't do projects alone. Actually, we call them political partners. Though we are not political, but we operate even now. This work is supporting government in terms of how best we can flow information through media. It's not a purely GSN activity. Though you see the ministry was yesterday. So, but we also have some level of independence, especially on decisions. When we know that there are politics in what we do, we make really opposite decisions that probably sometimes rub us negatively, but we come back and talk. We are diplomats, so we have some diplomacy in everything that we do. But so recently, when I was doing some activity, I was asked, do not give money to this media house because the way they attack the government. But if you look at it very well, it is not attacking the government. It's just about shedding the light where darkness is clear, right? So anyway, we still made the decision and we gave them money anyway. The government protested, they did not partner with us on what we were doing, but at some point, yes, we are now together. Again, through our diplomatic prowess. The last question that I also gave when we were leaving is the issue of language. Language. Are these multiple language stations effective in communicating, but probably in climate change reporting? Are they effective? Because everybody is complaining about Swahili. There's no better Swahili. There's no existing Swahili language for various climate change terminologies, right?
Yes.
So, okay, I want to hear from Swahili reporters. When you have a story, in story near climate change, how do you manage it purely and entirely in Swahili? Come. And anybody from but let me just have plenty from Swahili. Somebody for anybody who reports in local languages, vernacular languages. Yeah, okay. Just one person who reports in vernacular languages. We were in Kajiado when we were studying the town halls, and they took 1 hour, almost 1 hour, arguing on what is the climate change in Masai. Can you say that? In Masai. Yes? Ma. Very good, that word. In Ma. And we left there without a word. So I want to know how you guys use your language to report climate change. Let's start with Swahili.
Hamjambo. Kwa majina naitwa Irene Kumbuka kutoka Mtaani Radio. Swala nzima la climate change linachangiwa kutokuwepo na sajili ya mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Yaani unaweza pata sema tuzungumzie pengine sebuleni, utapata kuna ule msamiati ambao unaongelea vitu ambavyo vinapatikana sebuleni, lakini utapata sasa wakati tunaenda kwa climate change hakuna hiyo sajili au hiyo lugha. Alafu tatizo lingine ni kwamba wakati unataka kufanya utafsiri, kuna pengine umetengeneza mawazo kwa lugha ya Kiingereza ambapo kusema tutaita matinichanzi. Sasa tatizo linakuwa kwamba ni kutoa ile lugha ambayo ni matinichanzi, the original source, kupeleka kwa matinilengwa. Unapata wakati mwingi tunafanya utoozi au tunaomit. Asante. Matinichanzi is the original source. When the text is equal in its original source, called the same matinichanzi. Sasa wakati ambapo tutatoka kuipeleka kwa ile lugha nyingine, tutaita matinilengwa, yaani kwa lugha ya Kimombo targeted language.
You see what the problem is,
Colleagues, you see what the problem is? Hata nyinyi wenyewe mnatoka kule kama mimi, sio?
Okay, my name is Pauline Ongaji. Jina langu ni Pauline Ongaji. Mimi pia huandika Kiswahili na mimi ni mmoja wapo wa waandishi wachache wanaoandika sayansi kwa kutumia lugha ya Kiswahili. Nia ya kuandika ama kuandika masuala ya sayansi, nia yake ni kuwasiliana, sio kufanya mambo ya magumu hata zaidi. Kwetu kuna hii sera kwamba unapoandika makala ama habari yoyote kwa Kiswahili unajaribu kusahihisha kila kitu, yaani kusimplify kila kitu. Ndiposa ukisoma baadhi ya makala yetu ya Kiswahili ya sayansi ambayo sisi huchapisha kila Jumanne, utapata kwamba ni rahisi kuelewa kwa sababu kama nilivyosema, sera yetu hapa ni kuwasiliana. The main aim is to communicate. So if you use, in our publication, if you use very technical terminologies, the editor term, we just remove and try to use the simplest word possible, because we are not writing for experts in Kiswahili, we are writing for the common mwananchi.
Kuna Mswahili mmoja pale amepiga makofi karibu kwa mwezi nyuma. Lakini huo Mswahili mmoja kwa Mswahili mwenyewe
huyo anauliza mnyambuliko wa vitenzi.
Mnyambuliko wa vitenzi. Vitenzi vijaribu roho sahihi. Wachana vitenzi hizi karibu roho. Karibu hewa, karibu mabadiliko ya hewa. Come, just come. You know why I'm inviting him? We were in a session in Kilifi with him, and he was moderating the audience. How was it moderating a climate change in Swahili?
Habari zenu. Mimi ni Mswahili, kwa hivyo sidhani kama kuzungumza Kiswahili ni tatizo, kwa sababu kwa mwenye amezaliwa Swahilini haiwezi kuwa issue kwenye wanasema kuzungumza Kiswahili. Ingekuwa Kiingereza ingekuwa tabu. Kwangu mimi nadhani ni ukishaelewa ujumbe ambao unataka kueleza kwa mwananchi, unafaa ufahamu kwamba ni nini ambacho unataka kumweleza kwa urahisi na uwepesi zaidi. Kwa sababu dada amekuja kuzungumza hapa, lakini mimi mwenyewe ni Mswahili, lakini nahisi kwamba hajaniambia kitu. Kwa hivyo nikiwa kwenye redio wakati mmoja, hariri wangu alinieleza kwamba kumbuka yule unataka kumzungumzia ni nyanya mzee yuko kule Masai ama yuko kule Kisii, na anataka kuelewa taarifa ambayo unaiandika. Kwa hivyo sayansi na ugumu wake wote lazima utafute maneno ya urahisi. Heri ueleze kwa maneno mengi kuliko kutafuta neno moja ambalo kila mtu ataelewa. Useme kupiga taji. Kuna wengine wanaelewa kupiga taji, lakini kuna wengine hata hawaelewi kupiga taji vile. Freeze accounts. So, unaona, kwa hivyo kuna baadhi ya maneno akaunti zake zimefungwa, kila mmoja atajua akaunti zake zimefungwa, lakini wewe kwenye taarifa umesema akaunti zake zimepigwa tangi. Kuna wengine hawataelewa tangi, ngeta, nini. Kwa hivyo kwa mimi ili kuweza kufanya yale tuliyofanya Kilifi wakati huo ni kwamba nilijua nazungumza na watu gani ambao Kiswahili chao kipo kwa kiwango kipi, kuliko kwenda kuzungumza kama unataka kuzungumza na wala bin wala, basi utakuwa utatafuta mishahiri, utafute vitenzi vyote, misamiati vizito uweke. Lakini kwa mawasiliano kwanza ni kuvunja ile taarifa ya sayansi iweze kueleweka kwa urahisi zaidi. Na ukishafanya hivyo kila mtu atakuelewa na inaweza kumfikia yule wa chini zaidi, kwa sababu mabadiliko tabia nchi kwa kweli haituathiri sisi ambao tupo Nairobi huko, na hata kama inatuathiri ni kwa uchache sana, lakini yule ambaye yuko kule Kilifi Magharibi ambaye anaathirika zaidi, ukitaka kumwambia Kiswahili ama Kiingereza kigumu pia na mchanganya. Kwa hivyo mambo ya fedha na mabadiliko tabia nchi, mambo ya hali ya hewa yanabadilika vipi, yote yako haya ambayo mtu anaweza kuelewa. Kama alivyosema kwenye Taifa Leo, utaona kwamba wanavunja ile taarifa izidi kuwa inamfikia mwananchi wa chini zaidi. Kwangu mimi nahisi hivyo ndio inafaa. Asante sana.
Lakini na swali moja kwa Swahili. Wakati ambapo mnakuja hivyo sio sayansi kwa lugha inayoeleweka kwa rahisi, mnapoteza maana kamili. Yes. Kwa mfano, wacha niulize swali. Kwa mfano, mabadiliko tabia na wakika wengi mpaka sasa hivi bado wanajiuliza how does it even define climate change? Mara nyingi ili mvunje ndio wengine waweze kuelewa wanatumia mabadiliko ya hali ya anga. Are we communicating? So that you can break it for somebody who always communicates with that simple Swahili. Tunatumia mabadiliko ya hali ya anga. Na niko sure ukienda kusoma Taifa Leo na wale wanahabari wengine ambao wanasoma taarifa, what they, I listen to Swahili news by the way, yeah? And they always say mabadiliko ya hali ya anga. Wachache kabisa, wachache na wanapotamka hilo lugha, tabia nchi watu wanapotea. Kwa hivyo, do we lose the meanings by breaking down? I'm leaving that to you. Let's see a vernacular. Because again, climate change is... Yeah, do you have a vernacular? Tutamsikiza, that's it. Joe. Vernacular. What are some of the challenges that you get when you are communicating using vernacular, especially terminologies?
Hi everyone. My name is Susan Lunda. Susan Lunda anafanya kazi na Royal Media Services. Nafanyia kazi Citizen Nipashe Kiswahili, pia Citizen Radio Kiswahili, Digital English, then vernacular station called Mosi FM. So, tukisema Mosi FM ina broadcast in Kamba language, na unapata as a journalist, so long as you understand what you want to pass to the audience, you translate that in your mother tongue. So, for me, before we went to COP28, I did like a dictionary for words zenye zitakuwa zinatumika huko sana sana for Radio Citizen and for my station. So like climate change, I tell them what that means. So that in my reports wakisikia nikitaja kitu kama hiyo, they are not lost. So unapata like for climate change, especially for a vernacular station, you have to put that human face and give a story that resonates with your listeners. Otherwise, hakuna mtu ataelewa what you are talking. Especially, let's say I'm telling a story about loss and damage. Loss and damage, kwa wale watu elite wataelewa what you mean in English. In Swahili, tukisema loss and damage fund, tunasema ni hazina maalum. We will explain. Hazina maalum ya pesa ambazo ni za kufidia ile hasara na madhara ambayo imeletwa na mabadiliko tabia nchi. So, for my station, I tell them, like when I was in Malawi 2 weeks ago, I did a very good report on loss and damage fund. Na nikawaelezea hapo unapata kila mtu anasema, we didn't know about this thing ni hivyo. Yani, you take like, in Kikamba. Nimefanya Kikamba for more than 10 years, so...
So what you do, sema ni Kikamba, then you do the translation literally, literal translation, direct translation.
We do not translate loss and damage. Okay. Loss and damage in my language, twasiariki na ndukimwanya cha kungamianga nama kana kuiba. Andu alama kwatite madhina kana wasio kumana na mwali ukumanze.
Hold your breath, Hold your breath. I am giving the media an advert, and they're giving me a 30-second pause. Okay? And I want to promote something on Lawson. Remember, that's the 30-second one. So, how long should the script be? Can that script, I mean, that whole description, will I get the message home?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You
What
get
did
it
she
home.
say? Yes, there is a very direct. No. Because of the science, right?
Yes, because I wanted to react. Like what you're asking, I think this is for a program, not for an advert.
Yeah, of course. still, either way, communication or information can be passed in different ways, yeah? As a feature, as an advert, various ways, right?
Yeah. Maybe for a 30-second advert, you need to maybe now target at the.
No, we do. We have commercials, we have adverts, we have everything that another radio can have. So we have even those for 30 seconds. Yeah. Mwalimu Kumanzebe.
You see, how she said it, how she said it, like the loss and damage, because, okay, I understand the reason coming, but at least I could understand that it's about payment of loss and damages to the people. So it's a whole fund, yes. So then I can understand, oh, okay, so when she talks about loss and damage, it's not the money, so I can understand that.
Very long.
Yes, very, very long.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mimi niko na swali. That's why I was raising my hand. I was asking, even Taifa Leo, like we have Google Translate. How do you take care of or ensure that we do not lose translation when we Google Translate? Especially when we are translating maybe Taifa Leo or any other whatever publication you have online. How do you ensure that you don't lose meaning?
What Taifa Leo?
Kwa sababu wazungu wanaweza kutuchanganisha. Kwa sababu kama ni GIZ Mjerumani akienda kwa Google Translate anafanya aje?
Okay. Google Translate, actually it's a crime to use Google Translate when you work. It's a crime because whatever is translated there, it's not the meaning. It's just like direct translation. So if you happen to use the Google Translate, it's a crime.
Kwa nini kwa partners wao ama kwa colleague wake yuko Bonn ama Berlin na iko in Swahili. How do you ensure that we don't lose meaning?
Okay, to answer her, when you're writing something, whether in English or in Swahili, or even you're doing translation, the first point of taking notes is to understand the message that you want to pass. Then you put it in simplest Swahili language and you're good to go. Because if you translate one-on-one, at some point you're gonna lose meaning and sense also. So it's good to understand.
So the comprehension.
Yes.
Then now you.
Yes.
Right. I think it makes sense.
That was a good one.
Good one, Geshi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. From my understanding, I don't know if we have anybody working for BBC or maybe DW. They have a fully fledged department where they do translations. And anybody who wants a translation maybe from English to Swahili, they work closely with that department. So you don't lose some words along the way, because when scripts are transferred to different individuals, they may lose meaning. So big media houses like BBC, they have a fully fledged translation department. Maybe KBC Tobesta used to have one.
There's still one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you see, yes. So it's good for media houses that are doing broadcast and Swahili publications to have a department that is dedicated for translations, because not all of us are good in translation. You can speak good Swahili, but you are not a good translator. Thank you.
I think that's a good thing. Let's go for a better clap, please. Thank you so much, colleagues, for that session. I think it was good to reflect on some of the challenges that we face that sometimes are beyond our scope, but indeed we're doing something about them. So at this juncture, I want us to move to our Again? Oh, okay. There's a burning. It might be so burning, eh?
Sorry to add this.
It's okay.
But my name is James from the Standard newspaper. During the SES, there was a launch of dictionary for climate change. I think it's a good suggestion if you also work towards that for both Swahili and maybe English, so that at least some words can be translated, and maybe later to maybe the national languages. It can be a good idea.
There's something I'm also doing. Okay, that was done by UNDP. I was here with Yvonne from UNDP last week, and we spoke about it, by the way. How can we even translate to not only even other languages, but also to children, children easy language. Because again, there's a lot of children who are now coming to climate change, but the understanding is a bit low. So we need to really make the language very granular for everybody. So yes, I think it's someone that is going to be able to translate that first work of UNDP to other languages. And we are giving a contract to someone, I think in the next week or two, to translate it, that dictionary, to not really fast, but also to children friendly. Then we'll come to the language. So I think there's an opportunity for me. I can go to develop a program and see how to translate it to build. But then journalists, I'm giving a challenge, give me a proposal that you guys want to translate climate change language into various languages. I've given you a challenge, an open challenge. Give me a proposal, give me a concept note, then you can see how you can get funded to support you there, okay? So,
Just to add on it, maybe in our previous ancestors, in the culture, there were no computers, there were no laptops, there were no cameras, and still we communicate this to our people. Now we have a camera we can use for camera, laptop, desk, mouse. So this imekuja to the recent years, na bado we get to the people. So as the time goes on, still we can communicate with climate change the way we are communicated the new technologies.
Very good. And that brings me to another thing that you also alluded to, indigenous knowledge. Okay? There's a lot of indigenous knowledge on climate change that have not been harnessed by the media. There's so many. If you go to Nyeri, for example, there are things there how they factor climate change and things that they do to be able to just maybe probably they pray, go to the mountain, there are things there. They go to Mugumu trees. There are a lot of indigenous knowledge, indigenous activities that also speaks to the efforts of just communicating climate change to various stakeholders. So colleagues, thank you so much for that session. We have the next hour or so to get solutions. You came up with very, very good feedback in terms of the 3 questions that we asked you yesterday. So again, today let's go to our groups. So extreme, extreme left corner of the room would have the radio team. Then here, where there is a good lady from BBC. Okay, a good lady. Let's have the print today here, and then TV again on the extreme end. Then ready to come where we have Murray. I mean digital, digital. So the first one is radio, then print, TV, digital. Let's move in less than a minute so that we can start. You can choose to retain your team leader or your rapporteur if they did some good work yesterday. If they did, please, you are free to change it. Okay, so this please take I need to mention unless this level is not having Then in the room we have some stakeholders, so feel free to interact with them, know what they do. We have somebody from the office of the climate envoy. The climate envoy is the advisor of the president on climate change issues. She's here. There was somebody from PAMJA. Did she? Yeah, so there's some stakeholders. Just feel free to interact with them, know what they have from the organization, and exchange notes. So this is TV, yeah? Okay, so this one is no proof. This is radio. Wanahabari ambao wapili kuonekana. Ni sauti tumepewa. Lakini siku hizi kuna television. So let's do radio. So for some reason radio are now very few today. Radio are very few today. What is up? Radio wameamua boycott radio. Then this is print. I see you do this print. These are stakeholders. Are you ready? So, if you are retaining this, if you're retaining the same rapporteur, which group is changing the rapporteur? So yeah, now I have a new set of questions that reflects to what you need to do to respond to your assignment this afternoon. So these are the questions. Number one. So remember on the yesterday the first question was knowledge gaps, right? So on the same, highlight measures that should be taken by the following stakeholders to bridge knowledge gaps on climate reporting. Highlight measures that should be taken by the following stakeholders to bridge knowledge gaps on climate reporting. Number one, newsroom leaders. Newsroom leaders. Can I repeat? Again, highlight measures that should be taken by the following stakeholders to bridge knowledge gaps on climate reporting. Can I mention it now? Number one, newsroom leadership. Newsroom leadership. Number two, media owners. Media owners. Number three, learning and research institutions. Learning and research institutions. Number four, yourselves. You're also stakeholders. So journalists themselves, or what I'm now calling yourselves. Then the last one is government agencies. So you highlight measures that should be taken by the following stakeholders to bridge knowledge gaps on climate reporting. And these are the stakeholders. Number one is newsroom leadership. Number two is media owners. Number three is learning and research institutions. Number four is journalists themselves. That is yourselves. And by the way, feel free to break it down to editors and reporters. Feel free, okay? That aspect of journalists, so that at least because they have various actions to take. Then government agencies is the last one. Second question. The second question, you are asked to highlight sector engagement and how they end up effective information gathering, right? Or news gathering. So this is the question. How can sectoral engagements be enhanced to ensure free and reliable flow of information through. So how can sectoral engagements be enhanced to ensure free and reliable flow of information through your media channel? If you are radio, write radio. If you are print, write print. Then it should read this way. How can sectoral engagements be enhanced to ensure free and reliable flow of information through TV, through radio, through print, and through digital? So just write yours. Question 3. Assuming question 3 is on. Question 3. So yesterday you handled the aspect of enablers of climate reporting, right? Now, following that, I like practical and sustainable. Enablers for effective climate reporting. I like practical and sustainable enablers for effective climate reporting. Keyword there is keywords are practical and sustainable. So be a bit more objective so at least we can be able to implement some of your suggestions. The last question, which is just a summary, should take you a short time to work on. Question 4. Identify possible topics. To be incorporated in the training module. Identify possible topics to be incorporated in the training module. As you know, this work we do today will inform development of what? Training module. So please try to suggest some topics that you want us to incorporate in the training module. Remember, it is a climate change training module. So any group that has not got any question or is lagging behind the writing, I can bring it to your desk. If not, you have, let's take I think the questions are a bit bulky. Let's take 1 hour to work on that. Then maybe let's take 50 minutes, work on that, then we break for lunch. Okay? If not clear, also feel free to ask. I'll go around.